Hello everybody, welcome back to the Crooked Hour. Today we're going to be doing a little recap of UFC 298, Volkanovski vs Topuria. I was going to record this last night, but I had a few too many beers and just was not up for it. So, I also want to talk about the new UFC 300 main event as well, but we'll get to that at the end. Starting straight away, Andrea Lee vs Miranda Maverick. Now, I flipped a coin for this one, this special coin here. And I'm 1-1 on flipping the coin. Miranda Maverick gets it done pretty dominantly. I don't know what the fuck Andrea Lee was doing on the feet. But she did look better on the ground. She did. She had great moments on the ground. And she did look like the better grappler. But her fucking IQ is like non-existent. Like this was her fight to win if she wanted to win it. It would have been hard. But she could have... Hang on. Camera fell, but she could have won it if she wanted to. She could have at least put up a bit of a better fight, but her striking looked atrocious. Not picking her again in the future, but yeah. Miranda Maverick gets it done by unanimous decision. Next up, Oban Elliott versus Val Woodburn. Now, I was so close to my pick. I had Val Woodburn via round 1 KO. And he ate that head kick and then just came in with strikes, but couldn't quite finish it. But he wobbled Oban Elliott, and a few more strikes and Oban Elliott would have been out of there. So I was close on my pick, a big underdog in Val Woodburn, first round knockout. Except he just gasses. It seems like he doesn't gas. His cardio's not too bad, but his muscles, like, they gas out, and he just doesn't have the same power traveling into the second round. Oban Elliott looked good. It wasn't the most exciting fight. A lot of grappling. But it was overall a decent fight. Just wish we got to see more on the feet. But Oban Elliott did what he had to do to get the win. Respect it. Val Woodburn probably released from the UFC, sadly. But you never know. They might give him another chance for just clipping Oban Elliott like he did in that first round. But I'd say he's getting dropped by the UFC. Next up, Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow. Now, Josh Quinlan did look better than I expected in this fight. I expected him to get run over in the first round. But he held his own, and, you know, you look at the total strikes and everything. Kind of does tell the tale of the fight, but Josh Quinlan was still landing good shots. He even, like, stung Danny Barlow in the second round, I believe. And I actually had a bet on this fight. Danny Barlow by a KO when it hit. Danny Barlow looks good. He's a little bit open to shots on the feet, though, so something to keep in mind for the future. But Josh Quinlan, he looked alright. Just not as good as Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow was much faster. Much more versatile. He just was better overall. But Josh Quinlan, he had his moments. Moving up to the prelims, Zhang Mingyang versus Brendan Ribeiro. Now, when they were walking out, I dipped out real quick. I forget what I was doing. I think I was going to water the garden or something real quick. Something weird like that. Come back in, the fight's over. I look it up. Zhang Mingyang knocks him out in the first round dominantly. I predicted Zhang was going to win. I don't know. I think I changed it to second round or first round. I can't remember what I ended up deciding on. But Zhang Mingyang, he's got big power, and Brendan Ribeiro left his head open, and it's good to get a Chinese light heavyweight fighter. So somebody look out for Zhang Mingyang. Brendan Ribeiro got caught. Sad for him. Now I missed this fight, but I didn't expect this fight to go to a decision. Says he won every round. Just taking a look at the stats, looked like he got a lot of control time, nearly the entire fight control time. Total strikes were close. Rinya and Nakamura had a lot more significant strikes, but again, I did miss this fight. But good on Rinya Nakamura. Everybody expected him to win. Sucks he didn't get a finish. I thought he was going to be able to sub him or KO him, but he didn't. But there, that's that fight. Next up. As you can see, this seems like the tail of the fight, the red legs. I don't know if I said it, but I knew the leg kicks were going to be a factor against Justin Tafa. And as soon as this fight got announced, I was going to make like a real short, like 5-minute video breaking it down, but I didn't like this fight for Junior Tafa. I had Justin Tafa. But the difference between the two is Justin Tafa is a hard, explosive puncher, while Junior Tafa likes to more play that point game, that point fighting sort of game. Did not like this fight for him. I knew you didn't want to go point fighting with Marcos Rogério de Lima unless you're like on that higher up level, like a Cyril Gane or something, or more than likely gonna true up your legs, outbox you, mix in some takedowns. He's a hard guy to beat when you're trying to fight him technically. And Justin Tafa just doesn't really have that in his game. So Marcos Rogério de Lima landed 12 leg kicks, out-controlled him. I did miss this fight, but I'll have to rewatch it. But I seen highlights, and it looked like the leg kicks were the way he won. I didn't like this fight for Junior Tafa, but respect to him for stepping in for his brother. I mean, that's big respects. That's pretty cool. We don't really see that. I don't know if we've ever seen that in the UFC before. A brother stepping in for the other brother. That's pretty cool. Next up, Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. Now, another fight I missed a little bit of. I think I missed the first round, but I came back in the second round. I was traveling over to somebody's house for a bit of context, so driving over, missed these fights. But when I got there, this fight was still on, and I expected Amanda Lemos to win more dominantly, I'm not going to lie. I expected Mackenzie Dern not to get her on the ground as much. But Amanda Lemos was hurting her on the feet. Great striking. Mackenzie Dern, though, the takedowns, the submission. Even when she's on her back, you're playing into her game. But Amanda Lemos did get it done overall. But, I mean, I just did expect it to be a little bit more impressive. Mackenzie Dern, I don't want to sound bad saying this, but her jiu-jitsu isn't as good as it's made out to be. Sure, it's elite. Sure, it's better than a lot of other people's. But her submission game isn't that good. Like, it's not like she's Charles Oliveira level where she's just subbing somebody every single fight. I think it's a little bit overrated. And the commentators were going, oh, you're in Mackenzie Dern's world. You're in her world when you're on the ground with her get up. But Mackenzie Dern wasn't doing shit. She didn't even have any submission attempts. Look at this shit. 0 submission attempts. We need to stop overrating her ground game, especially at this elite level where you've got people like Amanda Lemos who can hold their own on the ground. I don't think we can accredit it as much as we do. So that's my one note on that fight. She did have moments on the feet, but she really needs to learn how to strike a little bit better. And then she's a complete fighter because she's, as I said, she's elite on the ground. Not as much as people say, but if she could just fix up some holes in her game, she might be a more complete fighter, I believe. So there's that fight. Good job, Amanda Lemos, but I expected you to KO her. Next up, Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. I had Anthony Hernandez, and he looked good. Anthony Hernandez is really coming into his own. I think he's got that. He'll probably move up to 14 now. 14, 13 ranked in the middleweight division because I think he was 15 or Roman was 15. One of them were 15. But he looked good. Roman Kopylov did have moments on the feet, like where he was blasting those kicks, and those kicks were fucking fast. But Anthony Hernandez is just like pressure. Boxing is good. Wrestling is good. It's like everything he does is solid. As you can see here, he shot 14 takedowns in two rounds. Well, not 2 whole rounds, but you know what I mean. He's like the Marab of middleweight, sorta. And he's got gas. He's got gas for days. I really think he's coming into his own. And honestly, I think he beats a lot of people. Like, I could see him even beating a Vettori. Fuck, that would be a good fight. Anthony Hernandez versus Vettori. I could even see him maybe beating a Brendan Allen. Like, somebody like that. I really could see him coming up, getting some good wins. When he gets to the elite level, he's going to struggle a lot more. Like, against a Paulo Costa, Jared Kennedy, Robert Whittaker. People like that. But, I mean, I could see him beating a Marvin Vettori. It'd be a close fight. They're sort of similar in their styles, but Anthony Hernandez pushes a harder pace, and maybe Vettori's more durable, so that's a good fight. Roman Kopylov, though, this was the first time in like 5 fights or something he got taken down. It was something like that, or he's defended a certain amount of takedowns. He looked good, but he just needs to regroup, work on that ground game a little bit. I heard he's working with Team Dagestan, so maybe can work on that a lot more, work on his submission defense, but he was not tapping. He didn't want to tap, but he had to. Anthony Hernandez had the choke, couldn't get it, moved to a different choke, ended up choking Roman Kopylov out. It was an exciting fight. It just ended early. Next up, Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. I picked Merab, and when the first round was happening, I was like, we're going to see Merab lose. I was like, we're actually going to see Merab lose here. Henry Cejudo was looking good, wobbled him, hurt him. But then after that, Merab just started to take over, and it wasn't even looking like Henry Cejudo was gassed. It was just looking like he had no answers for Merab. Merab was schooling him on the ground with the takedowns. He even picked him up and slammed him one moment. Sort of embarrassing for Henry Cejudo being a medalist in wrestling in the Olympics to just fucking getting tossed around by Merab, who shouldn't have the same wrestling credentials. But as I said, there's a difference. Henry Cejudo's got that wrestler game. That wrestler, like, he would win a wrestling match, while Merab's got that more of MMA style grappling. You know, he can mix it in with punches. He can mix it in with his game, his MMA game, while Henry Cejudo, I think he's more wrestler based. Overall, Merab looked good. He needs a title shot. After the fight next weekend, I think Merab should be next for Eva. I don't think Sean O'Malley deserves an instant rematch. Definitely not. I think either way, that's a good matchup. Merab for the title shot. He deserves it, and he needs it, since Aljo is now no longer in the picture at the moment. So give it to Merab. That's what I'm saying. Henry Cejudo needs to retire. I think he did retire, but they just didn't really show it. But good decision, Henry Cejudo. Realistically, should have never came out of retirement. But I respect the drive for giving it a second go, but not a smart idea, Henry Cejudo. Not for your legacy anyway. Next up, Geoff Neal versus Ian Machado Garry. Ian Machado Garry's not looking... I think his hype's kind of died down a little bit. He did win this fight, so it's not like his hype has crashed. But I think his hype is definitely slowing here. Like, it was a close-ass fight, split decision. Geoff Neal was looking good, but Geoff Neal just fucking didn't have it in him to get it done. He just didn't have it in him. I don't know what the fuck was going on. He's just walking around with his hands down, not trying to cut Ian Garry off as he's running away. You need to fucking go in there and give it a go, because he could have got it done, but he just threw it away against Ian Garry, who was just obviously better at outpointing him. Geoff Neal's chance here was to get the knockout, and he wasn't really looking for it, so that's what happens. That's what happens. Credit to Ian Garry. He did get the job done, but as I said, wasn't the best look for him. He was getting tagged in moments, you know, but he did look better than Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal, did he take a paycheck? I'm not going to say he did, but fucking, I thought, with the talk coming up, he's saying, oh, I'm going to do you all a favour, I'm going to knock him out. And then didn't even knock him out, just fucking followed him around the ring in walking pace. Like, I don't know. I don't really think he wanted to win the fight. I just think he wanted to try and look at least impressive in the fight. So, yeah. Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. Now, this is where we get into the real stuff. If you watched my video before this fight, I was basically praying, pleading that Robert Whittaker and Alexander Volkanovski win. And it didn't work out. But Robbie got up. Robbie got up. Never been so happy in my life when they read that decision. I was cheering. I don't know why I like Whittaker so much, but I just do. Whittaker gets it done in a fight that should have been fight of the night. Like, why the fuck did Mackenzie Dern versus fucking Amanda Lemos win fucking fight of the night? Like, this fight was way better. Way more back and forth. Both had their moments. Somebody got hurt. It was just a higher pace, intense fight where they were both doing good things. Paulo Costa, you know, Paulo Costa hitting nice shots. That fucking spinning back kick had me nearly crying. I was like, no, Whittaker, this is not the time you can fucking lose. Like, you've been doing so well in this first round, and now you're just going to get a spinning head kick and knocked out. If that fight went for longer, I just have to say it. That was earlier in the round. Whittaker probably could have been done. I mean, he could have recovered, but it's a very low chance. I reckon Paulo Costa would have followed up if he hurt Whittaker. Like, he really would have followed up and got him out of there. But Whittaker looked good. He looked a bit like the old Whittaker. He did look like the old Whittaker, which kind of sucked because I was expecting to see a bit more in his game. I did pick him via third round KO. I did expect to see a bit more in his game, but he looks like the same old Whittaker. But Paulo Costa is just a lot better than most of these people. I know he lost to Vettori, but for somebody like Whittaker, Paulo Costa's a much harder fight than somebody like Vettori is. So, yeah, styles, what's the saying? Styles make fights. Paulo Costa's a lot more of a hard fight for Whittaker than For Tories, I reckon they'll do Whittaker versus Cannonier next, which is another scary fight for Whittaker. They're giving Whittaker all the scary fights. I know he beat him once before, but it wasn't an easy fight. It's just scary for Whittaker, man. You know, he got caught in his last fight, KO'd, got caught in this fight. I don't like him against Jared Cannonier, if I'm going to be honest. I will be picking him. I think he's got the advantages, but Jared Cannonier's a scary fight for him. Big up Whittaker. Never been so fucking happy in my life. It was a good fight, though. You know, I had Whittaker winning the first round until the head kick, which then I gave it to Costa. And then I had Whittaker winning the second and the third. Just by outpointing, you know, landing the more damage, destroying up that leg, like 38 leg kicks. Jesus Christ. But Paulo Costa did have 22, but you could see Paulo Costa on that lead leg, like it was trashed. So Whittaker gets it done. Woo! And now we move to this. To be fair, I'm not as big of a Volk fan as I am a Whittaker fan, so I was kind of just happy Whittaker got it done. But still, man, I still wanted to see Volk win. I really wanted to see Volk win. I did. I had a bad feeling about this fight. I did. But I thought Volk could get it done. I thought it would go sort of similar to how it went. I thought the first round would be a little bit slower paced. And I thought Volk would get his wrestling going a little bit earlier, but he didn't. He was saying he wanted to use his full game, but then he got knocked out. And I bet that meant he wanted to start using his takedowns, but he just left it too late. Like, Ilia, boxing, insane. Power, insane. Volk was doing well. He was doing well. Kicking to the legs, mixing up his attacks to the head, to the body. He was looking quicker. And as the commentators were saying, and I think I heard Guru saying this as well, is he would just lean back with his head open. I didn't really notice it, but I could just hear the commentators saying it. And that isn't a good look against somebody like Topuria. You know, you want to really pick your moments when to strike in. You really want to fight on the outside, which he was doing. Volk did look good, but back-to-back KO losses is tough. I don't know if he'll come back. And that's sad to say. I want to say, yeah, he will come back. He'll come back. He'll win the rematch and then go on another 2-fight streak and retire. But I don't know if I see it happening. I'm worried. 2 back-to-back KO losses when you've never been KO'd before. But in his defense, he didn't look terrible in this fight before he got KO'd. Like, it wasn't like the Whittaker fight where Whittaker's fight against Drickus, where Whittaker just got hit by a jab that shouldn't really knock you out, and then he was all wobbled. In Volkanovski's defense, this was a shot that would clean anybody out, unless maybe you're can't remember his name. The last guy Ilia Topuria fought, Josh Emmett, that's the one. Let's say Josh Emmett, because he ate some big shots in that fight, but I wouldn't say they were as powerful and on the ringer as this one. So Ilia Topuria gets it done. It's sad. It is sad. It kind of ruined my high. Like, when Whittaker won, I was like, yes, let's go. Then when Volk lost, I was kind of like, oh. Man, at least Whittaker won, but it's still like, oh, Volk, man. Volk, man. I love you, Volk. I love you, Volk. Just, please come back. Please come back. It's good to see him in good spirits. But poor Volk, man. I was scared it was going to happen, and it did happen. I did have him by 3rd round KO, and it could have possibly happened if it went there, but, you know, it didn't. Ilia caught him fair and square on the button. Shout out to Ilia Topuria. He's the real deal. I'm excited for a rematch. I heard Ilia saying, no, I don't really want the rematch. I want to move on. But they should do the rematch. It makes the most sense. Probably going to sell the most pay-per-views out of every other matchup you can do. That's the fight to make, I believe. I reckon Volkanovski deserves it. It'll be a good fight. It'll be good, because then Ilia can sort of silence the doubters too if he does knock him out twice in a row. If Volkanovski comes back and does it, I don't know. I don't know what that means. This is I reckon Volkanovski versus Topuria is that type of matchup that on a different day either one will win. The 50-50, literally on a different day, Volk could have won. And then again on a different day, Ilia could have won. I really think it's that type of fight between these two. I really think they're both on an elite level, really elite level, and I think it just depends on what game plan shows up and what game plan works. But anyway, it was a pretty good card. There's a few boring fights, Andrea Lee, Oban, Elliott versus Woodburn. Josh Quinlan versus Denny Barlow was good. Missed these fights. Good fight. Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Lemos. Roman Kopylov, Anthony Hernandez. Good fight. Marab versus Henry Cejudo. A little bit slow in moments, but good fight. It was overall a good card. I was watching it with some casuals. Not casuals, but there was somebody there who was doing that thing. Oh, this is so fucking boring. It's like, come on, bro. Don't ruin the fucking vibe. But anyway, just talking real quick about UFC 300 real quick. I'm not going to go into it too in depth. I might talk about it more in the future, but I do have Jamal Hill. Sadly, I really like Alex Pereira. I reckon he could get it done, don't get me wrong, but I do have Jamal Hill just because Alex Pereira is open to straight, long shots. He like leans his head back and he gets his head cocked back, and I think Jamal Hill is going to come through with just a straight right and clean him. Could be wrong though. Could be wrong. I honestly think it's Jamal Hill's straight right versus Alex Pereira's left hook. That's what I think. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, have a good one.
Give me 5 minutes, I'ma pull up with like 5 niggas.